Okay, so another video about the yin yang and in the Bible and Jesus' teaching. So he tells the parable of the sower. There are four types of seeds that someone plants in their field. The first is seed that falls along the path and is eaten by birds. You can see the path right here. It's this windy thing that separates the black from the white side. That's the path. It's eaten by birds. There's no seed there. The second type of seed falls on rocky soil. So here are the rocks. This is a rock and this is a rock. And the soil is shallow, so it springs up quickly, but it withers because it has no root and is scorched when the sun comes up. So you can see here's a seed. The white part of the yin yang symbol is a seed, and it's underground. It's in the darkness, but it has no root. It's a seed with no root. And it's scorched when the sun comes up. So here's the ground, and here's a scorched seed. It's charred. It's charred black. It's scorched. So that's both the second and the third types of seeds. They fall on rocky soil. The rocks are the two circles, the two small circles. And this one has no root. It's underground. This one is charred. It's above ground, and when the sun comes up. The third type falls among thorns, which choke and strangle the flowers or whatever's coming up. This is the crown of thorns. This is the outside. There is no seed here. So this is Jesus' crown of thorns. Jesus references thorns, and then later he wears them, and there are no seeds there. And then the fourth falls on quote-unquote good soil, which then produces a crop of 160 or 30 times what was sown. That is not necessarily good. It could be good, or it could be more like overgrowth or cancer. When you think about the parable of the weeds, it's a different parable. A man sows seed, and then an enemy comes along and sows seed, and they have to be weeded out. So you have the yin yang symbol, which is the basic essential symbol of Taoist philosophy, and then on top of that got added the I Ching, and I'm now pronouncing it correctly instead of calling it I Ching. I mispronounce things sometimes because I'm self-taught and I've been so retarded by people my whole life. But anyway, apparently it's supposed to be pronounced the I Ching. I'm learning so much. I'm so uninformed. And the I Ching is represents instead of this representing the creative and the receptive, the male and the female, it uses lines, an unbroken line for a male and a broken line for a female, and then it combines those into trigrams, pairs, three male female lines in some combination. There are 8 possible combinations, and then pairs of trigrams. When you pair the trigrams together, you get 8 times 8 or 64 hexagrams. So the I Ching is composed of 64 hexagrams. Jesus says 160 or 30 times what was sown. 60 is approximately 64. When he says 160 or 30, it's an approximate number. And then 64 hexagrams is about 128 trigrams. So 100 plus 30 is about 128. The reason it's broken in the second case into 130 is that Judas, this is like a coin with 2 sides, and Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 silver coins. So 30 represents a betrayal, and so by adding to the yin yang, in some ways, the I Ching is betraying the essential message. Betraying both in the sense of revealing it and revealing other aspects of it. Betray can mean that, like to betray one's feelings, to expose them, but also to contradict or to be unfaithful to. And we got people falling down the street doing some retarded shit here, so I'm going to move over a little bit. So basically, you have, if you think about when Jesus said it is easier for a rich man, for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. The eye of the needle was a narrow gate that camels had to pass, the travelers had to pass through, and they had to take the packs off the camel in order to get through it. So that is like weeding. You remove something. When Jesus said, beware of false prophets, for they appear in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Again, it's a message that looks like it's good, but it isn't. So in one sense, the I Ching, as it expands into trigrams and then into hexagrams, it's multiplication. It's a little bit like cancer. It's complicating a message and then losing fidelity to the original message and adding to the original message what wasn't intended in the first place. Another parable that represents this is the parable of the mustard seed, where it is the tiniest of all seeds, but it grows into a large tree, and then birds come to nest into branches. And so this is the seed, the yin yang. It grows into a tree. That's the 8 trigrams. And then birds come to nest into branches. That's the male and the female lines. The male is the branch, and the female are the birds. That's the basic idea there. Jesus once again pointing to Taoism and the yin yang symbol, and to simplification, and warning against elaborating on the message. And that is a metaphor for how we take what our hearts tell us and what we learn from nature and the process of being born and how the mind works and how the natural world works, and then we impose a lot of extra stuff, or we filter things out in order to derive our ethical systems, and that is incorrect. Taoism and properly understood, Christ's message properly understood, is that the Old Testament message properly understood is fundamentally Taoist, which is that nature points us to ethics. You look at how nature behaves, and then you thoughtfully, you don't just say, oh, survival of the fittest, and go that way. You look at it, reflect on it, understand it, and then you behave accordingly. Always remembering that we would not exist if we were not born. If we were not in a womb, you can see the darkness of the womb and something inside of it, and then something coming out of it in this picture. And that is always, and you can see an umbilical cord, and it almost looks like a baby's face coming out of the womb. You always have to keep this in mind. This is how you would not exist if someone had not treated you maternally. And the reason for treating other people not like that is anything you come up with is a weed. It's incorrect. This is the mustard seed. This is how we came to be. And if you add stuff to that, or you contradict that, it's incorrect.